Hello, everybody. So we're back. It's time to do some more financial literacy. And as promised in the last lesson, today we are going to count some money. So what you're going to need is your tub or your jar or container with all of your money in it. And then you're going to need a workspace on a table and somewhere where you can dump it out, and we're going to sort it, and then we're going to count it. Okay, so go ahead and gather all of those things, get them ready on a table, and then we are going to do this together. Okay, I have all of my coins dumped out onto my table and my workspace, and I'm just going to sort them into the different types of coins. So we've spent a little bit of time practicing this, and you've all done your coin rub. So you know which ones are quarters, which ones are nickels, which ones are dimes and pennies and loonies and toonies. So you can use that coin rub sheet as a reference if you would like, and just start putting them into piles. So all of the loonies go into one pile, and all of your toonies into a different pile. I like to start with loonies and toonies first because I don't have as many of those, and they're really big and easy for me to identify just by looking at them. For me, colors make a big difference for what I'm sorting. It's just easy to pick those out. So that's why I chose those pennies, and I did those next. You can sort yours in any order though. Now these are all the same color. These are all silver. So I think the quarters, because they're bigger, are pretty easy for me to be able to find and pull out. So that's kind of the way I go about it. But you can do anything that works for you and in any order. I like to go one coin at a time just because it helps me to keep track of what I'm doing. So I did my loonies and my toonies and my pennies and my quarters. And now I know dimes are a little smaller than the nickels. So I can kind of start separating those out. Okay, so I've almost got mine all sorted. There, just like that. Okay, and then I can go through and double check that I have everything in the right pile and I didn't put anything in the wrong spot, and give it a once over once I'm all done, so that you can see all of those coins there. And I also have another pile of pennies over here that aren't real pennies, they're pretend pennies, but I'm going to use them as part of this lesson just to help us figure a few things out while we're counting. Okay, so take your time to do that. Don't worry if it takes you longer than it took me, and depending on how many different coins each of you have, that will show how long it takes too. If you have a whole bunch of coins, it will definitely take a little bit longer than if you just have a couple of them, for sure. Okay, so pause the video to make sure you get time to get that done, and take as much time as you need. So once you have all of your coins sorted, the next thing that I provided with this lesson is this sheet, and it's called Counting Money. So you can pull that up on a computer or an iPad or a phone to take a look at it. If you don't have a printer, you don't need to print it, don't worry. You can draw this table out. All it is I have each coin down the side here. So I have pennies, nickels, dimes, quarter, loonie, and toonie. And then I wrote the name in right beside it just to help remind me: penny, nickel, dime, quarter, loonie, toonie. And then I wrote the value. So when we did the coin rub and we were looking at all those coins, we looked and we saw that each coin has its value written on it. So this one is the nickel. Trying to make sure you can all see that. And right up on top of the beaver, it says 5 cents, because a nickel is worth 5 cents. And a dime, down underneath the sailboat, it says 10 cents. So I don't know if the camera will quite focus on that so that you can see it and read it, but you can also take a look at the coins you have on your table as well. And that one says 10 cents. So each of these things is worth a different value amount. So I wrote penny here and then the value. I put 1 cent. I wrote out the word cent and then I put the symbol behind it just to remind me of those things when I'm looking at this sheet and I'm counting money. Your nickel with the beaver is worth 5 cents. The dime with the boat is worth 10 cents. The quarter with the caribou is worth 25 cents. Your loonie is $1 and your toonie is $2. Okay, so all of those values are written on this chart for you just to remind you. And then there's a column that says to count. I skip count by. What could that mean? Well, we're going to talk about it because the first one we're going to look at is pennies. And pennies are worth 1 cent. So pennies, again, they aren't really in circulation anymore. They're not something that is being produced by the Canadian Mint where all of our coins are made, but they're still pretty helpful when we're learning how to count coins because each penny is worth 1 cent. So when you calculate how many cents you have, when you're going to add up all of your pennies, you know that each one is worth 1 cent. So if I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pennies, I can count by 1 to count them. 1 cent, 2 cents, 3 cents, 4 cents, 5 cents. So those are my 5 pennies, and that's the same as 5 cents because each penny is worth 1. Okay, so if you were able to find any pennies, when you count up your pennies, you can count up how many do I have? That's this next one right here. How many do I have and what is my total value? So pennies, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pennies. So for me, in my chart, I'm going to write a 5 there. So how many pennies do I have? 5. What is my total value? How much is that worth? Well, each penny is worth 1 cent. So 1 cent, 2 cents, 3 cents, 4 cents, 5 cents. So I have 5 cents in pennies. That's how many I have. Okay, so we're going to fill this chart out together and we're going to go fairly slowly through it to try to make sure that we all understand what we're doing. And right on top, before I forget, don't forget to write your name. So I'm going to put Miss Hutton there before I forget. And I'm doing this in pen so it's easier for you guys to see, but I recommend you do it in pencil because you might have to erase. And in this total value, I can always write the equation for that too if I want, because I had 5 pennies. So that was the same as 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 5. Because each penny was worth 5 cents and I had 5 of them. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pennies. 1 cent each equals 5. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 5. 5 cents. Okay? Take a second and think about that if you need to. Take some time, maybe you can count your own pennies on your table to see how many you have, and then you can fill in your chart just like I did. Feel free to pause the video if you need to so that you can take your time to look at that.